You ever get that feeling that something isn't quite right about a place, even when it looks perfectly normal? Like the air feels heavier, or your gut tells you to leave, even if nothing's happened yet. That's what I felt the first time I saw the house on Old Mill Road. It wasn't supposed to be anything special, just an old property I'd been asked to appraise. I'm a real estate surveyor. I deal with condemned homes, estates no one wants anymore, places that have been sitting vacant for years. But this one, this house, it's different. It's still the only property I've ever refused to finish an inspection on. And every night since then, I still hear things from that place. It started on a gray, rain-soaked Thursday. My firm had received a call from a lawyer handling an estate case. A man named Robert Fields had passed away. No family, no will. The house was going to be auctioned, but they needed an inspection report first. The address? 118 Old Mill Road. The lawyer gave me the keys in a plain brown envelope. He warned me not to spend too long there. He actually laughed when he said it, but not the kind of laugh you get when someone's joking. More like he didn't know how else to warn me without sounding insane. I drove out there around noon. The rain had stopped, but the sky stayed that heavy, bruised color. Old Mill Road wasn't even on most GPS maps. I had to follow an old printed county record. The trees got denser as I drove. I remember passing a rotted wooden sign that barely stood upright. It said private road, but the letters were faded, like they'd been clawed at. Then I saw the house. It wasn't grand or gothic, no towering mansion, just a two-story farmhouse, white paint peeling off in long strips. The windows were clouded over like cataracts. One of the shutters kept slamming softly against the side of the house, over and over in the wind. When I stepped out of the car, it was dead silent. No birds, no bugs, just the wind. Inside smelled like a mix of damp wood and something else, something sweet, rotten sweet. You ever walk into a place and instantly feel like you're trespassing on something private? Not property, but something personal. That's how it felt. There were still dishes on the table. Mold had eaten through the leftovers, but the utensils were laid neatly, like someone had just stepped away from dinner one night and never came back. Every step on the floorboards moaned, and the sound echoed weirdly, like the house was hollow. But I knew from the blueprint it had a basement and a narrow attic crawl space. I took photos for the report, water damage, cracked foundation, some evidence of rodent activity. Everything routine, until I reached the hallway. There was a mirror hanging crooked at the end of it, a tall, old one, the kind with brass framing. My reflection looked off, not distorted exactly, but like it was a few seconds late. I moved my head slightly, and my reflection caught up after. I remember whispering, "What the hell?" And then something tapped on the glass from the inside. It wasn't loud, just tap, tap, like a fingernail. I froze. My skin went cold. I thought it was maybe a drip, but there was no water anywhere near it. Then I noticed it. Behind my reflection, there was something faint, like a shadow moving past the door behind me. I turned. Nothing. Empty hall. When I looked back at the mirror, my reflection was smiling. I wasn't.
I dropped my flashlight. When I picked it back up, the reflection was normal again. I told myself I was just tired, or maybe the flickering light was playing tricks. That's what I do, rationalize things. I kept working. There was one last thing to check. the basement. The door to it was narrow and warped, half swollen from moisture. It took my shoulder to shove it open. The smell hit first, thick, earthy, but metallic. The light switch didn't work, so I used my flashlight. The steps went down farther than they should have, like the foundation went deeper than the plans had shown. The air got colder. At the bottom, the beam hit something, a shape. At first, I thought it was a pile of old clothes, but then I saw the outline of a face. It was a mannequin. No, not quite. It had skin, but not real skin, like wax melted unevenly. It wore a tattered suit, and its hands were too long, each finger ending in what looked like cracked nails. I stepped closer, just to confirm what I was seeing. The eyes were glass, the mouth slightly open. There was something carved into the chest, numbers. 118, the house number. I heard breathing then, not mine, slow, just behind me. When I turned, the stairs were gone. There was only a wall. I don't remember dropping the flashlight, but the light hit the floor at an angle, and that's when I saw the carvings all over the concrete. Hundreds of names, scratched deep, layer after layer. The topmost one, the freshest one, was mine. I don't know how long I was down there. I don't even remember finding the way out. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in my car outside, soaked in sweat. The keys were still in the ignition. My phone said it was 3:14 a.m. But I had arrived at noon. 12 hours gone. The lawyer called me the next day, asking if I'd finished the report. I told him no. Told him what I saw. He went silent for a moment and said quietly, "You saw the mirror, didn't you?" Then he hung up. A week later, they sent another inspector. His name was David. Young guy, didn't believe a word of my story. They found his truck parked outside the house 2 days later. Engine still running. Driver's seat empty. The front door was locked from the inside. They never found him. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I swear I can still smell that same rotten sweetness. I've moved since then, different town, different job, but I keep the mirror from that house covered in my storage unit. I couldn't throw it away. Somehow it always finds its way back. The glass cracked last month on its own. I tried to cover it again, but when I touched it, there was a heartbeat. So if you ever drive past Old Mill Road and you see a white farmhouse with one shutter still banging softly in the wind, don't stop, because that place remembers who's seen it, and once it knows your name, it doesn't forget.